Hey everybody, this is a very quick video of my new to me 2004 Honda Accord LX. I bought this car just a few weeks ago from my neighbor back in the USA. I actually live in Canada right now in British Columbia, so I thought it made more sense to buy the car back at home than buy a car here, because I have had a really hard time finding really much of anything for sale at dealerships up here. So you go to a dealership and most cars are pretty expensive. There's not a whole lot on the lot. And most cars in my price range were either really beat up, just not taken care of at all, or they had rebuilt titles, which I really did not want to touch. And luckily I was able to find this car because the whole process of going to dealerships and taking a bus there was definitely not the easiest thing to do. So luckily this worked out. Now, bringing a car into Canada from the USA is not super easy to do. You do have to import it, which I did with this car. And sometimes they make you change a few things about the car. So in this case, they did that because it's a little bit too old. It doesn't have daytime running lights, so I had to have that installed. Not a huge deal, I guess, but I wasn't super happy about the job that was done on it, so I think I'll probably take that off at some point when I come back. But for the most part, you're not really going to find a car like this for sale in my price range. It's going to be this nice. Again, it's a 20-year-old car. It's not in perfect condition, but it's about as much as I could possibly ask for, because really it doesn't have that many scratches or dents on it, and the paint is in pretty darn good condition, so I really can't complain. And I will say right now that the drivers in Vancouver and the roads are really not perfect. It's a bit chaotic on the road, so I'm sure some more scratches and dents will happen at some point, especially if I street park this car somewhere or try to drive it to work where the parking lot isn't great. But it gets the job done, and if it gets a few scratches here and there, I guess I can't complain too much. So as you can see, it's got the bar tail lights in the back for the 2004, the 2005, I believe, or 2003 through 2005. And I like that style a lot. I had the triangle lights on my older car, and I think that these actually look a bit better and more in line with kind of the Honda style. So I'm happy with that. It wasn't my favorite at first, but it grew on me. This car does have just the hubcaps for the wheels. I would have preferred the alloy wheels, but this is okay for now. And as you can see, the paint is in very good condition. A few scrapes there on the front bumper. That wasn't me. Scrape right there on the front bumper again, where probably the car hit some sort of yellow pylon in a parking lot. Previous owner did that, but I can't complain too much. It might even buff out. And back here on the back, some of the paint kind of chipped off where the rear bumper meets where the wheel is, but for the most part, it's not really a big deal. No one even sees that really, so I can't complain. In terms of how the car runs, it's the 2.4 liter engine, and that's what I had in my previous car, and that car was always extremely reliable. I have no reason to doubt this one won't be reliable as well. And that's just a great engine for gas mileage and reliability. Really no complaints at all when it comes to that. I did get the manual transmission in this car, which is something that I wanted in a car. I really couldn't find many cars out there for sale at dealerships that were manual transmission, and the ones that were not in great condition at all. So I didn't want to touch that. And of course, this car is sitting at about 108,000 miles. So that is pretty darn low for a 20-year-old car. I cannot complain at all when it comes to that. And of course, the gauge cluster is in miles per hour, as this is a US car, but they do give you that small ring for kilometers on it, so you can drive this car in Canada. And of course, I think it looks better that way anyway, because the kilometers get a little bit too busy, I think, on some of these cars when you have that many numbers right there in the cluster. So there's the engine bay, pretty darn clean. The label came off the top. Actually, as you can see, there should be a label right there that says 2.4 liter on it, dual overhead cam. I think someone spilled oil and it just peeled off. You also saw that box right there for tricking the headlights into being on all the time. Again, that will come off at some point. Can't do it while I live here though, so I will just leave that alone and hope I never have any problems with it. The trunk is in extremely good condition. It's very large for a car like this, so good for getting groceries, things like that, and storing some extra oil and whatnot just for safekeeping. The only problem with this car that really bothers me is the back seats are a little torn up. I think the previous owner had pets or something. And yeah, there's a couple scratches back there, but really can't complain about that. Not a big deal. I think that's going to be the end of the video. It's quite cold outside, as you can see in this video, so I will make another one in the future when I actually have time to do something with the car. And until then, see you in the next one.